सह वीर्यंकर वावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमान नगरी तुल्यं निजान्तर्गतम् पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिर्भूत भूतं यथा निद्रया यत्साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोध समये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयम् तस्मै श्री गुरुमूर्तये नमः। इदं श्री दक्षिणामूर्तये। So it's been a while since we have met on this Tuesday night classes, almost a month. So it might be good to review exactly what we are doing in this series of classes. So if you recall, there were 4 points that we had kept in mind, 4 goals as we structured this course. One is that it would be nice to have a introduction to advanced Vedanta, starting with the basics and then slowly adding more advanced parameters to it, so that for 2 reasons for doing that. One is that you also have something for yourself, even though it will be somewhat basic in the beginning, but eventually when we go, this will be a good record of all the key concepts that really are important for us to do vichara on. Number 1. Number 2, this will be a great way for you to teach someone, so that you have a method of starting from the beginning of what the problem is, what the solution is, why don't we do all of those kinds of things in a very structured manner, not only for yourself but also as a way for you to teach. And as a matter of fact, even if you don't teach, you can record some of these thoughts down on a piece of paper, so that it becomes your notebook of teaching, your thoughts. You can leave it for your family, you can give it to friends, you can publish it, whatever you want to do. So that was number 3. Number 4 and the last one was that we should get acquainted to Sanskrit words, not the grammar, which is not easy to grasp and you may not have time to do it. If you can, that'll be wonderful, but you don't have to. But it is much more important to be familiar with the vocabulary in Sanskrit. And so we gave you John Varney's treatise and any other help that we can give you. So to get acquainted with Sanskrit words, in the middle of the sentence, you can have a sentence based out of English, but you can actually define the words in Sanskrit. So then, this is how we are conducting the course. These are the 4 objectives in front of us as we do this, and I hope you are doing it in some fashion or the other. All right. So again, we started to do vichara. Vichara is an interesting word. So it could be visheshena chara or vivikta chara, either one of them. But what it means is a very purposeful inquiry. not a casual inquiry about some political views or geopolitical views or anything like that, but to take a subject and then really think about it in a very focused manner. This is what is called vichara. And this is an important thing because all the acharyas have pointed out that even after we are introduced to the topic of Vedanta, one of the issues that prevents us from gaining depth and clarity of it is because we don't do vichara. We say, okay, we've read this and it makes sense. Yeah, yep, absolutely, it's fine. Then we go about in our life doing what we want to do. Vichara means something which is so deeply ingrained in your thoughts that it governs your conduct, your behavior, your conclusion, your transactions of life. And this comes with practice. This is not easy. This is what the Mahatmas say. And so anytime we do something trivial, we have to say, why am I doing this? Is it just because I want to get something quickly? Fine. That should be the case for food and, artha kama dharma. But what it really requires, that's all that is required. Avicharita siddham dvaitam means that our Atma is waiting to be discovered if we put our minds to it. That's all it really takes. It's neither difficult nor easy nor nothing. Once you start inquiring, it just opens up its secrets and you become more adept at inquiring, asking questions, finding answers that are very satisfying. This is the process we have to go through. All the Mahatmas, they don't just simply got, okay, I know exactly what's going on. That doesn't happen that way. Because we were born in a world which confronts us and gives us wrong impressions, and we have to really correct it, and it can only be done by vichara. Anyway, so we are starting to do vichara. And the first thing we pursued was, what is the common goal of all beings? We should do vichara on that. Because what you find is that everyone is very different from others based on their history, their education, their ethnicity, their DNA, all kinds of influences. That's a separate thing. But what results is that each one of us is pursuing different things. Some of us are very, very competitive. We want to really reach some goals of life. We want to become good doctors, lawyers, engineers, leaders, all kinds of things. It's just amazing. It's very beautiful. Everybody is doing something different. So we are all doing something different. The question is, in between them, is there something common? Is the pursuit of different goals that we are conducting, is that amounting to something which has a common goal that we can see? And the answer is absolutely. Yep. And that is not difficult to see. It's staring us right in the face. We just have to accept it and look at it. Is we are all seeking happiness in life. In whatever we do, We do course corrections. We want to maintain happiness. We need to sleep better, maintain our health, our friendship, all those kinds of things, so that we can be happy. And therein lies the next point of the vichara. I'm just revising. We've already done all this. And also what we really seek is not occasional happiness, but permanent happiness. This is what we all seek. Nobody is satisfied. No one will say, are you okay in being happy in the morning but not in the evening? Happy inside the house but not outside? These are ludicrous questions. Nobody will accept that. Fact of the matter is that we cannot be happy both inside and outside, yesterday and today. That's a different matter altogether, and this is what we struggle with. But our goal should be being happy regardless of any conditions. And our goal is that. This is why when children are born, you don't teach them, baby, you know what? Be happy. The baby may not be able to talk, but he is thinking, what are you telling me? I'm trying to be happy. I'm trying to be well fed. And my diaper needs to be changed. Yes, it's very obvious. Otherwise, I'm going to start crying. Nobody needs to be told. This is as natural as it gets. This is the culture of the whole creation. You know, when I was working for HP, I discovered when I started working for HP that the culture of the company matched mine. I'm very happy with that. I didn't want to change companies. My kids would say, Dad, you've been working there for 20 years. Don't you want to do something different? And I would say, no. Why should I? HP had a culture of honesty, openness, and tolerance, which is what everybody wants. And I said, this is great. You go to work, not that there are no problems at work, there is politics, all those kinds of things, that's a separate thing. But the overall culture of a company, there was something. It was something. Something that you grew into. You could tell, is this the way things are? They'll say yes. Similarly, there is a culture of the whole creation. There's a certain culture. The culture is, please be happy. Please be satisfied. Be peaceful. You know, there's been quite a bit of research on gauging the different kinds of happinesses, excitement, relief, dancing, singing, and also being very peaceful. And Vedanta, of course, makes it very clear, but even the normal research also finds that out of all the various kinds of being happy, being peaceful is the best. Is what people like. This is also shown in the time of deep sleep that everybody experiences. You may be talking, you may be dancing, you may be singing, but there comes a point. This is what we want to do. We shut off the TV. I am so happy, really. I'm telling you. My wife and I, when we began our marriage and so on, I kind of convinced her, I didn't have to force her, let's not have a TV in the bedroom. It might have been some cases where we did it for a short time. I know that I was sick for a while, and so there was a TV in the bedroom because I couldn't get out of the bed when I had my heart bypass. But generally speaking, even now, there are a couple of TVs on this floor where we are, and our bedroom is upstairs, and there's no TV upstairs. So you go to bed, switch off the light, you're peaceful. You're not excited. You're not watching news. You're not watching videos, YouTube videos, nothing of that. That's all done during the day. But the most desirable experience is peacefulness. And this is what we all want to be. So the next point of the vichara is, we want to be what we cannot be. It's very interesting points in the vichara, because this is a universal value, to be peaceful and happy, and yet we cannot always be peaceful and happy. So on one hand, we cannot get rid of the desire to be peaceful and happy, and on the other hand, we cannot fulfill the desire to be peaceful and happy. A very strange situation. It cannot be. And one of the reasons it cannot be is that this is a universal value. This, as we said, even a baby doesn't have to be told that you need to be happy. If it is, we cannot find universal values that cannot be fulfilled. But this is one of them that cannot be fulfilled. It doesn't seem to be fulfilled. So the next point of the vichara is there a flaw in the design of the world? Did Ishvara go, oops, oh my God, I forgot. I shouldn't have done that way. Why did I do that? Is it one of those kinds of things? No, not possible. The very definition of Ishvara is one which is perfect and infallible. So if he designed a desire to be completely fulfilled, then the fact that it is not normally fulfilled is not a flaw in the design. It's a flaw in our approach to solving it. Exactly what Vedanta says. You know, this is a very serious topic actually. In the, I think I was telling you this, that in the 3-volume set of the Brahma Sutra Bhashya by Swami Akhandananda ji. We've also done Brahma Sutra Bhashya with Swami Paramarthananda and others. So it's the same thing. It's just that a certain clarity came in when I was reading this part. You know, this is what I sometimes say. I find that it is really my failing that I did not grasp it earlier. All the acharyas probably said it, but it didn't register. And that is part of my growth, is that now it starts to register. So this one is interesting, very important point. This is what Swami Akhandananda, and so this is all Adi Shankara's Bhashya, called Adhyasa Bhashya. It's actually very relevant to the topic that we will be doing. It's in the Adhyasa Bhashya. So in the Adhyasa Bhashya, it's a prelude to the commentary on the Brahma Sutra itself. Athato Brahma Jigyasa is the first sutra. But before that, there is a section, extensive bhashya by Adi Shankara called Adhyasa Bhashya. The reason I'm pointing this out, this is very interesting. If you just, I'll make it together. In the Adhyasa Bhashya, Adi Shankara says that everyone that is born is due to adhyasa, due to an error. That a person becomes a jnani, a paramount wise person, that comes later. But the beginning part is that the very fact that you were born, any transactions, any vyavahara that you and I do, any experience that we have, anything that we say, anything that we transact, that's the word I was looking for. Anytime we transact with somebody, it is due to an error. It's much later that when a person understands what's going on, you can still act, but not through the adhyasa. Because, a jnani also has to have some food, because otherwise you'll be starving the body, and you'll be doing pida, giving pida to the body, pain to the body. It's not necessary. You just eat. Even though the jnani doesn't have to eat anything. He can just let it all, and some people do. There are different kind of jnanis. There are jnanis who will say, that's it, I'm done. They'll say, no, but don't you want any water or anything? No. So they just sit there and then that's it. They're done. But usually that is not the case. They are still transacting, talking to people, etc. So the basic fact is, this is what I'm saying, that Adi Shankara proves that all transactions in life, any experience of life, is due to adhyasa, means ignorance. It's a mistake. That's not the way it should have been done. And so the question is, if we maintain our normal conduct, we are not going to achieve what we want to achieve, which is unqualified, unconditional happiness. No. Because the very attempt to find happiness itself is based on an error. The attempt itself is based on an error. Regardless of what you're doing, whether you're doing it wisely or unwisely. So what to do? So, this is what I'm saying, that you need to point out to yourself and as a teacher to others that there is something that distinguishes Vedanta from all other spiritual schools of thought. Totally distinguishes. And it's not a matter of being abhimana, ahankara, okay, we are the best. Nothing like that. But this is the way it is. What can we do? We do not see any other school of thought that says what we do, what we say. So what is it that we say? What does Vedanta says? So one thing that Vedanta also points out before I get to what the Vedanta says is that, we talked about the culture of the universe, which is, I just want to be happy. I want to be happy. Okay? In that statement is buried, I want to be. I want to be happy, but in order to be happy, I need to be. In other words, I should not be non-existent. Like, for example, supposing you are in a coma. It's a kind of like you're not really non-existence because you can never really disappear at all. But at least temporarily you feel you are not existent. But I'm not interested in becoming in coma because I want to be. So this is one of the things. I want to be happy. Then there is something very important that you should know about. We cannot be happy and possess until we know something. It's an important thing to see. If you don't know it, it might as well not be there. Like, for instance, suppose somebody slips in $100 bills in your pocket. $100 bills, $1,000. You are the possessor of it. How it happens, we don't have to think about. Just supposing this happens. Somebody quietly puts down. Sometimes it happens. You shake hands with somebody. And this is what happens when you give money to the children. In India, anytime we meet some children, especially for the first time, we have to give them money. This is a very beautiful thing. Okay, and there's so many beautiful Indian customs that are lost. I find that's not really being done. But the traditionalists, when they come to the home, and even if later on, even if it is $20, $50, small amount, $10, doesn't matter, but you give it to them in there. And they have no idea what they're getting, but you just give it to them. You put them in the pocket. So basically, supposing somebody gives you $100 bills and puts it in your pocket, will you be happy about it? No. Why not? Because you don't know what it is. It is not on when you take those bills out and you start looking at it and say, oh my God, what did he give me? $1,000? And it's very possible that the person's his daughter was getting married and he was one of his best friends. So he didn't want a big deal out of it. He just gave it to you in the pocket, knowing that you will look at it later. But the point is that you cannot be happy unless you know it. This is important. Just by possessing it is not sufficient. So this is a very important point and a very easy point to understand. So we will look at it in more detail later on, but keep that in mind at this point, that knowing something is not enough. You have, having something is not enough. You have to know it. So it's for money. And you know what? It's very interesting. Do you know the most happy and peaceful times that human beings naturally have? Very obvious. In deep sleep. This is what a creation by Ishvara. No matter what your day is like, but when you stop dreaming, stop being awake, you are one with Ishvara, you're peaceful, and you are happy. Because you can even, how can you say that you were happy? Because you can recall it, it's an experience. So how was your night? Oh, I had a wonderful night. I slept. What did you do? I did nothing, but I was happy. So clearly you were happy. So here's the thing. Even though during the night we are very happy, but we don't know it. It's like somebody has put in $1,000 into my pocket and I don't know it. So even the experience of happiness has to be known to really strike the lesson home for me. To be real, I have to know it. So this is very important that we will study later on. So this is what is called Vritti Jnanam. Technically it's called Vritti Jnanam. I'll just briefly mention this, although it needs more explanation, but let me mention it now. You and I are actually complete as we are known, as we are now. Complete, lacking nothing. We are Purnaha. Our nature is Shiva. Complete peacefulness. Satyam Jnanam Anantam. This is what nature is. But do you know something? We don't know it. This is a very important corollary. You cannot be happy about anything unless you know it. If you don't know it, it is as well as you are not the possessor of it. This is the situation. So now we can go to the distinguishing feature of Vedanta. Please understand this very clearly. Argue with yourself, ask questions, but this is so clearly an important point, and that is Vedanta is the only vidya, only knowledge which says you are already complete, but you just don't know it, my dear. Just don't know it. You know those things about I want to be totally happy without any conditions, not in the morning, not in the evening, not outside, not inside. Remember that we were saying unconditionally happy. This is what I want to be. This is what everyone in the world is trying to be. This is vichara. This is what you have to think about. See it clearly. Everyone wants to be complete and unconditionally happy. And Vedanta, and so now if you look at all these great schools of thought, you know what? All spiritual schools of thought agree on one thing, that you will not be happy until you are complete. You're saying, taking yourself to be incomplete is not going to give you the passport for becoming totally happy. Everybody agrees on that. Whether it is Vaisheshikas, Sankhyas, Buddhas, Jainas, Christians, Muslims, Hindus, doesn't matter. Everybody says that you need to be total and complete, lacking nothing. This is what you need to be, because that's the only one that will give you complete happiness. Everybody agrees on that. Then, if everybody agrees on it, where's the difference? The difference is in all schools of thought, all religions, they say, your experience that I am unhappy at the moment, I am incomplete at the moment, is correct. Trust your own wisdom. Do you feel happy and do you feel completely satisfied and all that? You said, no, I don't feel happy. See, that's exactly right. This is what I'm telling you, they all say. You are incomplete. But you know what? We have a recipe for you to become complete. You do? You know, this is really the draw of all religions. I think I've told this a few times to you. This was a real life experience that one of my wife's relatives called us and said that our daughter, and they are Hindus like us, she has gone to college and indications are that she wants to become Christian. And we don't agree with that. And so please talk to her and see if you can influence her. So by that time I had already started to study and teach Vedanta. This is several years back, 20, 30 years ago. And so I tried my best to talk to her, and I was unsuccessful. And you know, I asked her, I said, well, it turns out there were several different reasons. One of the boys that she was dating was Christian, and she really liked him. It turns out this guy that she married is such a gem that almost it is a wonderful thing to have him become part of our life. It just turned out to be very good. But anyway, at that time, I talked to this young girl to try to find out what really attracts her. And she gave me a number of reasons. One of them was that she's dating this boy. You know what the main reason, not one of the main reasons, not the main reason. She says, I find a lot of peace when I go to a church. It really taught me a very beautiful lesson, really. I hadn't thought of it that way. That when she walks from a life of turmoil and goes to a church with high ceilings, quiet, peaceful, and with the organ playing and people chanting, the kind of peace that she experienced, she could not find anyplace else. And she says, I want that. And of course, the churchgoers will say, this is eternal peace. You will reach that. And be with us. Join it. And trust in Christ. And you will now have eternal peace. That becomes a very important passport. Anyway, going back to what distinguishes Vedanta from everybody else, everyone else says, yes, we want you to be peaceful and complete. And we know you are not at the moment, but we have a recipe for you to get there. So get this, you're not there now, but if you do certain things, you this, do that, join the church, join the, the masjid, be part of a group and do some chanting, or you do this, you do that, then maybe not in this life, but in next life, my gosh, your future is secure. This is the normal methodology. Vedanta is just the opposite. It's the only one. Nobody else says that. So you should understand the uniqueness of Vedanta. Vedanta says, you don't have to do anything. You are already complete as you are. So to that you say, well, that's not my experience. I don't feel complete. I feel miserable at times, changing all the time, depending on things. Vedanta says, I know. This is what you feel. This is what you think. It's a mistake. So there, Vedanta distinguishes between knowledge and experience. Knowledge can be with experience, or experience can be with knowledge or without knowledge. Once you have the knowledge, you can have the experience or not have the experience, it stays. The classical case of that of the sun rising. The sun rising is an experience. The sun that does not rise is knowledge. So you can have an experience of the sun rising without knowing that it doesn't rise. Or you can have the experience of the sun rising despite the knowledge that it doesn't rise. So Vedanta says, even though your experience is that you are limited, the fact of the matter is, even at that time, you are unlimited. Really? So what gives? How can I be unlimited even though if I feel I'm limited? So Vedanta says, Acharyas, the Shruti says, no, you are not limited. No one is limited. Everyone is nothing but an aspect of Parameshwara which is unlimited. And not a part of Parameshwara, but an expression of Parameshwara. So the wave of the ocean is not a part of the ocean, it is an expression of the ocean. And the expression may be unlimited, but no one wave is devoid of being completely the whole ocean. So Vedanta says, my dear, you are already complete and unlimited. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to go anywhere. You just have to remove the error that you are incomplete. Being incomplete is an error. It is not a fact. It's adhyasa. How can it be an adhyasa? I feel that. Every second of my life feel I'm incomplete. Vedanta says exactly. You are the possessor of completeness. Not only as a possessor, you are the nature of completeness. Satyam Jnanam Anantam. But you don't have the vritti jnanam. You have to know it to enjoy it. It's like you have to know that my keys are not lost. They are with me. They have always been with you. You just didn't know that they were not lost. That's all. So there we say the reason for that is that, and we can now tie it to what we studied last time, that you are making a mistake about yourself because you have a feeling that you are a transacting human being. So now we can go back to a more deeper understanding of the nature of truth, the nature of Sat. So if you remember, we had pointed out that this is also part of the curriculum to understand what is the nature of the Sat. So there are three aspects of the Sat. So one is Pratibhasika Sat, which is subjective understanding, individuality, identity. You can call it identity. Subjective identity. The second one is objective identity. And the third one is total unchanging identity. Paramarthika Sat, Pratibhasika Sat, Vyavaharika Sat, and Paramarthika Sat. Right? So, let's look at it this way. So, in the case of Pratibhasika Sat, these are your own thoughts and conclusions not shared with anybody else. These are your own individual thoughts. What a creation. You have that possibility. You can have a certain conclusion, certain thoughts, certain ideas, certain behavior, which no one knows about. This is all yours. Certainly for the entire dream, that is the case. And even during the waking hours, most of the time we are just thinking within ourselves, not sharing it with anybody else. So this is what is called Pratibhasika Sat. Then we have the next level, which is called Vyavaharika Sat, which is transactional identity. Transactional identity means one which is shared with others, objective. You also look at somebody, you also look at me as a body, I also look myself as a body, and we may have some small differences, but more or less we are pretty much the same in understanding. Our height, our skin color, etc., etc. And also the expression of thoughts while I am transacting. That's also Vyavaharika Sat. As long as I don't have a complete difference between what I say and what I do, normally we shouldn't. So, for example, if I'm feeling hungry and I tell my wife, what are we going to have for dinner today? She says, okay, let's look. So my expression of being hungry, my saying that I'm hungry, her responding is all part of the transactions. So this is our objective reality, objective identity. This is who we think we are. And in between our subjective and objective, my whole life passes like that. It's not who I am. Because there is a certain truth which is called Sat, as we did in the last class. So the very definition of Sat means one that does not change under any circumstances. If it changes, then what is it? It's Vyavaharika Sat. And that's what happens. Our moods change. Our physical nature changes. We have so many variations going on in our life. And, you cannot say that stays. If you were young at one time, now I'm old at a certain time. All kinds of changes occurring. That's not Sat. Because the Sat means one that does not change at all. So then the only question that occurs is there something like that? Because we don't see it. Whatever we do, we find there's changes. So, Vedanta says there is something which is called Sat. Where is it? So one can see that if there is a Sat, if there is a non-changing Paramarthika Sat, it has to be me. It has to be me. Why do I say that? Because whether I see it or not, none of the other things that I see are Sat. None of the other things. Why not? Because you look at your whole life, all your experiences, and what you'll find is that none of them stayed with you. Never. Not possible. If nothing else, you can just close your eyes and they're gone. But there is something that is Sat, which is you. I am. I know that I am. And this has no boundaries. It does not have any boundaries because it doesn't have any shape. Whatever else did you think, but you always are. You are the only Sat. You don't need any proof. You don't need any reasoning. You don't need any experience. It is non-dismissible. This is who you are. Not what you are transacting with, not the shape of who you are. Those are just costumes that you wear. But you're the one that wore the costume. You're the one that changes the costume. This you cannot change. Satsvarupoham. This is the same Sat that is Paramananda, Paramatma, same Sat. Same Jivatma, I am. I know that I am. There is something to be known. There is nothing to be done. By knowing, correcting mistakes, not taking myself to be the Vyavaharika Sat, knowing myself to be the Paramarthika Sat, Satyam Jnanam Anantam. You accomplish Purushartha, the goal of life, freedom, peacefulness, and the knowledge of freedom and peacefulness. Om Asatoma Satkamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Purnamadav Purnavidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. See you next week. Hari Om.